Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite baits for catching some big pre-spawn bass, and probably one of the best ones of all time for catching some really big pre-spawn bass, and that's going to be the Megabass Magdraft. I have a few videos on my channel using this thing in the springtime, catching some really big bass, largemouth and smallmouth. You will catch big smallmouth on the 6-inch version, no problem. They can get that bait in their mouth, 3, 4, 5 pound smallmouth, eat it no problem. And it's just a really fun and exciting way to catch big bass in the springtime. Now, you do have to have some type of good conditions for this. This is a conditions-based bait for the most part. You can, if you just have the right conditions or even the wrong conditions and go out and throw it, you can catch some fish on it. But really, those prime conditions is what you're looking for with this bait. We're going to talk about all the gear, conditions, everything you need to know in today's video. Number one thing, conditions. You got to have a little bit of wind, you got to have a little bit of cloud cover, or at least enough wind to block out the sun a little bit. Sometimes those gloomy or cloudy days with the wind is when they'll really eat this bait. As you can see today, we have high bluebird sun skies, slick calm conditions, super clear water. You do need that clear water as well because they need to actually be able to see this bait and come get it. But overall, the main conditions you need is a light wind, cloud cover, and clear water. That's when that bait's really going to excel and catch you a lot of fish. We are going to go out and show you how to fish this thing today. We may not catch fish on it, but we are going to attempt to do so. Like I said, we don't have the right conditions for it, but we're going to try it anyway. When it comes to a Magdraft, I pretty much exclusively throw the 6-inch version just because it allows me to catch even those 1 and 2 pound fish. Up here in the Northeast, we don't have a lot of 10 pounders or even any for that matter that are just going to eat this thing like crazy. Like if you go down Texas or places like that, the 8-inch version might work even better, or you might be able to throw the 8-inch version down there. You could do it up here in the north as well, but I really like just throwing the 6-inch version. And what I equate this to is anywhere that you would throw a spinnerbait, try throwing this bait under the same conditions, and you'll be amazed how many fish you catch on this bait right here, as long as you have that clear water. Like a spinnerbait can put out a little bit of thump, this doesn't put out as much thump to it. So as long as you have clear water and the same conditions you throw a spinnerbait, try this guy. Color wise, we do really simple colors on this bait. Brownie is one that I use a little bit for like a supernatural bait fish color, but overall I fish like the albino pearl shad, which is this one right here, just that white, pearl white color in that stained water, as dirty as I'll fish this bait. And then anything cleaner than that, I use the whiteback shad. That's like my #1 color. That whiteback shad catches a ton of fish. It's very translucent, has a natural bait fish color to it, and really works well when you're trying to catch those big bass. And when it comes to your rod and reel equipment here to fish this thing, it's very, very simple. Any worm or jig rod that you already have will work. This is a 7'3" Icon worm and jig rod. It's just a medium heavy, fast action from 3/8 to 1 ounce lures, 14 to 25 pound test. Basic jig rod. Anybody has this in their arsenal probably already. If it was a 7-foot version, it would work just fine as well. And then I have the Corrado MGL 150 on here. This is the 7/4 to gear ratio. You could use the slower one if you wanted to, because like we'll talk about when we fish this thing, the key is to reel this bait really slowly. So I just force myself to slow down with this reel so that I can use this rod for other things throughout the season. But if you have just one rod for a Magdraft, go with the slower gear ratio. Then I have 17 pound test on here, fluorocarbon. You can use 20. I've used 20 before, especially around lakes that have a lot of pike and stuff, because they'll eat this thing like crazy. But even 14 would work as well. 17 is a good all-around line. That's what I really like to use for it. The lighter the line you can use, the better. It'll get it down in the water more and allow it to be where the fish want to actually eat this bait. If you go to 20 or 25, it's going to cause it to ride up in the water a lot more, and you're going to have to reel it even slower to get it down to depth. So that's what we're using for today. We have the whiteback shad one on here. This one's actually pretty much toast. The eyeballs are off, the magnet's out. We're probably going to swap this guy out here soon. I've been using this one for a year or two now, and it's time for a new one. But we're going to get out on the water. We're going to show you how and where to fish this thing and how exciting this thing can be. While we might not catch a fish, we'll talk about some of the stuff that you'll see when you're throwing this bait here. So now that we talked about the gear to throw this Magdraft around, let's actually show you how to throw this thing around and where you want to fish it. Biggest thing with this is mostly how you fish it and fishing it slow enough to make sure you get bites. The biggest mistake I made when I first started fishing this bait is reeling it too quickly, and what that will do, that bait will be coming naturally through the water and start to spin or flip over or do stuff like that, and it looks unnatural, and then you don't get bites. I lost the magnet in this, so I'm just going to go ahead and stab this in here, but typically when I have the magnet, that's how I rig it up right there. Double hook in the belly gives you a better chance of hooking fish, and I'm usually not fishing it near too many snags, but I don't have the magnet, so I'm just going to go ahead and stab it in there, still have double hooks, and be good to go. So make sure that hook is sharp, and then we are ready to go. So you can skip it around cover, cast it around cover, do whatever you want to do. Basically, most simple retrieve ever. You throw it out there wherever you want it to be, and you just slowly wind this thing back. And when I mean slow, I mean slow. Like, you want this thing coming in very slowly, and that just subtle tail kick and slowly moving through the water is really going to draw those fish in. I've seen them track it from long distances, come from a long ways away to get it. I've even had smallmouth, as I'm lifting it out of the water, chase it all the way back to the boat, and then when I get it right here and change direction and pick it up, they'll eat it right there. So they'll surprise you how they react to this bait. You just got to fish it around and really just build some confidence with it. If you're just getting into big swim bait fishing, I've said it a lot with this bait, if you really want to learn how to fish big swim baits, or you want to start, don't know where to start, get this 6-inch Magdraft. They're pretty affordable. They're like 15 bucks. Compared to other swim baits, that's super affordable. Get this. You probably already have the rod to throw it. You don't need a specialty rod. You can cast this thing around and you will catch bass on it. I've caught bass in ponds, lakes, tidal fisheries, smallmouth, largemouth. Like, I've caught fish on this thing everywhere. You don't have to have big shad in your lake. I've caught fish on this bait in lakes that don't even have shad. They literally just eat bluegills. I've thrown this bait. It will draw them in. They're just curious fish, and they will come check it out. Like I said, you have to have right conditions to throw this thing. So I'm going to be completely honest with you. There's about a 0% chance we're going to catch a fish on this thing today. It can happen. I'm not saying it's impossible. Anytime during the pre-spawn, if you're fishing a spinnerbait, you could probably throw this there and you will catch fish on it or get bites on it. But a lot of times what will happen when you have these high sunny days like this, the water isn't clear enough today. It's still clear enough to fish this bait, but sometimes if you have clear enough water, when you're reeling this in, you'll literally just see fish following it. I thought that was a bite. I came over a log. You'll just see fish following the bait, but they won't commit to it. At least it shows you that the fish are there, and then you can throw another bait in there afterwards and try and catch those fish. It's just really fun to throw. I honestly, especially if I'm not in a tournament, if I'm just fun fishing, I like throwing it around just to watch the fish chase it, and then I'll throw other baits in there afterwards and catch them. But it's really exciting to watch like a 5-pounder just trail this bait all the way back to the boat, and you're just waiting for him to eat it. Or a lot of times you'll go to skip it around a dock or a piece of wood like that, you'll be reeling it, and you just watch that giant white swim bait disappear, and you know that a big one just ate it. There's nothing more exciting than that. It's such a fun way to fish this bait. I love doing it. Every spring, once that water hits 50 degrees, this bait's on, and it won't come off until those fish are done spawning. I mean, I've caught smallmouth, I've pulled them off of beds to come eat this thing before. If you're reeling it slow enough, there's a bed there, they will come up off the bed and come eat it if they think it's in their way. And a lot of times you can catch fish that might be a little spooky on a bed because you're getting this bait to them before you're ever there. So this looks like something that's coming through their bed and might eat their eggs or invade their nest, and they don't even know the boat's there or you're there on foot. I mean, I can make a very long cast with that. There could be a bed anywhere over there, not right now, but if there is a bed, you could be reeling it like that and just absolutely catch fish that you didn't even know were there, and they'll come up and get it. And a lot of times the pre-spawn females, when they're looking for one last meal, they'll come up and get this thing, eat it. It's just an excellent way to catch big bass all spring long. So I tie it on, I leave it tied on all spring, and if the conditions are right, I will be pulling this thing out and throwing it around. So we'll keep chucking this thing around and see if we can get one. Most likely we will not, but we're gonna try anyway. Unfortunately, we didn't have any luck with this bait today. Like I said, conditions just really aren't right for it today. But if you get the right conditions, it's an excellent bait to fish. And if you'd like to see a video of me tearing up some smallmouth in some cloudy conditions on this bait, go ahead and check this video out right here. And there will be plenty more videos to come on this bait the rest of the spring. We'll be catching a bunch of fish on it very soon here. So hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of those videos coming up. Thanks for watching.